Her podcast.
Her is me, her is you. Her is us, her is she, her is we. United we stand, baby, that hurt for keeps. I'm coming and I demand my space, I know it's free. I owe myself the world, they tried to count me out. I've been down some dark roads, they tried to pound me out. From cloudy to sunny, ain't think that I would make it out. I needed positive emotions to fill me out. I'm looking in the mirror, never liking what I saw. I heard a few stories like mine, I'm standing tall. See, I am not alone, we made it through. She more confident, so I'ma claim it too. Her strength is now my strength, so yeah, our spirits fused. I needed to hear your story, I needed you. You seen the footprints in the sand, yeah, we walked through. Hand in hand, ain't have a plan, can't let it fall through. See, life hurts, she, me, we, her, hit all the curves. So take my word for it, don't try to ignore it, deep explore it. Catch that silver lining and shine and be here for it. See, life hurt, and life hurts. I'm like her and she like me, we.
Hey. Hi, LaJune. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on my show tonight. I'm excited about this whole conversation and everything you have going on. This conversation is extremely important for people to know and be aware and just wake up from different situations. So I do appreciate you.
No problem.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am a board certified health coach, nutritional lifestyle coach, personal trainer, mindset strategist, um, as well as I work with girls in the area of sports and personal training as well. I reside in Bowie, Maryland. Originally from Louisiana, born and raised, went to college in Dallas. So that's me.
No. So, you wrote a book, releasing my trauma. What inspired you to even start writing this book?
So I went to Bali in 2019 to a retreat with a friend. And basically, at the retreat, I learned so much about myself. So it was about letting go, it was about healing, it was about forgiveness and awareness. And I came back and I was like, okay, in order for me to really forgive and let go, I started writing and I wrote everything because you never realize your past causes self-sabotage in your present, in your future, is growing up. You're stuck at a certain age, and I was stuck at 6.5 and 7. So I'm writing, and I started in 2019. Worked on it 2020, and I finished in 2021. Had my editor look over it, and that was the reason of writing my book, is just basically to let go and forgive and to say, you know what, I'm not looking back, I'm moving forward. And also finding my voice, because we keep so many secrets from our past that we are like, oh, I'm not going to talk about. And I was like, yeah, no longer is anyone going to have control over my life. I am not going to let any predator feel like you got me. So that was the main purposes.
I love that because I'm a firm believer of not letting anyone have that much power over me. And people don't realize a lot of the problems that we do have and that we endure, it's usually someone else's problems. And we just collectively take on other people's problems so much, we forget about who we are, who we stand for, and everything else. So, what was like your mindset strategies for you to even get through that period of you getting to know yourself and figuring out, okay, this is a problem?
So I had to look at nutrition. I had to look at my thought process. I was working at a job that I hated. I was, I got COVID in 2020, and basically that was my sign of, LaJune, you gotta quit. You can't go back, because they were trying to make me go back. And I quit, and my mindset around it the coming back from Bali, it was like I want to change because I was so angry for so many years. I was depressed. I went from anorexia as a kid to pre-obesity in 2011, 2012 from a knee injury. All I was doing was sleeping and eating and watching TV and repeat. And it was just so much stuff from my past that kept coming up, questions of um what would my life be if my dad was here? What would, questions like that. Um and I just didn't want that anymore. I was afraid of myself because I was so angry. And self-sabotaging is behaviors that you do when you're so angry, you do
Right.
messed up stuff. So it was the process of I wanted change and what that change looked like for me. So I started visualizing what my life would be if I started doing things differently and stopped being afraid. Because if you think about it, when you're a kid, you're fearless.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and pick up some of that childhood behavior of being fearless and stop being afraid and stressed out. I was stressed out from my job. I was getting sick every other week from
Wow.
sinus infections and headaches. So it was like I needed, to really change my mind and really visualize what I wanted.
Yeah. It takes a lot of mind control doing that. And a lot of people don't know how to separate that. And so how did you separate from being emotional and then dealing with your physical and your mental? Because a lot of times people bring those together instead of separating them. So what was different things that you did to be able to identify certain things and separate it and work on that portion first?
So, what I got from Bali, I started to incorporate. So, things I would listen to, I would listen to positive things every day. I would say positive affirmation. I started journaling. The funny thing is, before I went to Bali, I was not a journal. I did not journal at all. So, I came back, I started writing stuff down, and you start thinking about things in the Bible. The Bible says write it down, make it plain on paper so it can come to light. And I
Right.
started writing things down. I started listening to positive stuff. I started, loving myself because I did not. I thought I loved myself. I thought I was committed to myself, and I wasn't. So it started there. Then I did a food sensitivity test. So I changed my diet because everything that was on those results, I cut out completely. And then I started to incorporate the physical because mindset and nutrition is the start of it. Fitness is only 20% of the goal. So it starts here and it starts what you put in your mouth. So it's kind of like what you say out your mouth. You
Yeah,
gotta
that's
be, yeah,
true.
you
That
gotta be
is true.
careful. You gotta be careful what you say. So, I would stop saying negative things. I would, because sometimes you get upset with yourself and you be like, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. I stopped doing that. So it was basically I started with mindset, I started with nutrition, and I started with physical.
Man, that's so crazy because a lot of people don't know how to separate those. It's like so freaking hard. And then what you were saying, like even me, like on a personal side, mine's is like I have everything else in my life down packed as far as my mental, spiritual, and all that. But child, that eating part and actually going to the gym and work out, that's my struggle right now. I'm really just trying to, because I've always been athletic. I did basketball, track, volleyball, softball. I've done all of that, but it's like adulting actually it just crumbles you with so many things and you be like, oh, I don't feel like it. Girl, I make any excuse to not go.
And with that, you have to think about what's going on because we use excuses of, okay, well, I got work, I got kids, I got my spouse, I got, my mate, I got this and that. And I started looking at some of the things that were some of the reason why I was making excuses. So, for instance, I used to leave work and I would have a bad day, and that was my excuse to get my favorite meal. And then that became a reoccurring thing of I had a bad day, I gotta, treat myself. But
Right.
what was really going on was I wasn't happy at the job I was at. So I had to start looking at things to make a difference and a change, because that becomes a spiral of, okay, well, this is the excuse that I'm using. And also tell clients, look at the reason why you eat, look at the reason why you drink, and what is
That's
the reason.
That's true. That's extremely true. Cause it's like it's a portion of us. We just have to really love ourselves enough to actually transition into something that makes us better for ourselves. Now, I love the fact that you have this lessons learned. I think that was like one of my favorite parts because I have experienced everything that you said. I wanted to read this so people could be able to understand what you were insinuating on here. And it's like some of the most successful, peaceful, and strongest people mentally, emotionally, and professionally have actually endured the most struggle and overcome by falling, failing, and rising back up. One learns resilience and determination. By being scorned and betrayed, can one learn to move on, begin again? By feeling sad and depressed, one can appreciate the value in choosing happiness. I when I first read that, I was like, damn. I'm like, that's me. Like seriously, it's like some people don't understand after you endure so much in life, all you crave for is peace. All you want to be around is people that bring you peace, people that have the same mindset as you and everything. And some people that because they're not there mentally with you, it's hard for you to even be around them. So you have this thing of be having zero tolerance. When was that point when you actually got to that point and you was just like, I ain't dealing with this shit?
Honestly, I have always been like that, but I didn't incorporate it in the way that it's incorporated now.
Okay.
So, you hear somebody talking and you like, okay, here we go again. They talking about their boyfriend. Oh, that nigga ain't da 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 da. And it's like, okay, well, you still with him. So what
Yeah,
you
what
gonna
you
do?
gonna
So I stopped with giving advice of how, oh, girl, you should do this and this and this. And it hit me, why are you wasting your breath? Because people are going to do what they want to do when they want to do it
do?
and
Yep.
when they're ready to do it.
Yep.
So I had to understand that you can't fix people.
No, you
You
can't.
can only do what you can do. You can give your ear if you want to give your ear. If it's a consistent venting, okay, limit that and say, you know what? I hear you, I love you, and I can't right now. I can't take that in because it's so much going on with you.
Yep.
So you have to set boundaries for yourself and not feel bad about it. And that's what I had to do. I had to set boundaries for myself. I've been working in case management for years, and it's the aspect of mental health I worked in. I worked in STDs and HIV and AIDS. So imagine getting, and most of my clients were females. So imagine getting working with those individuals and they're coming to you all the time to fix stuff, and I thought I was a fixer, and it took one of my managers to say to
Right.
me,
Mhm.
you are doing more than what the client is doing, stop. So it really got to the point when I came back from Bali and I was, I would give clients resources. If they wanted therapy, hey, here it is for you. But I'm not going to be that person that's going an extra mile for you when you're not doing it for yourself. So it got to the point where I had to say, you know what? You have to take care of you and put you first and stop trying to fix and make everybody happy because that's not your role.
Mm-hmm. You know, that is true. A lot of us struggle with that too. Trying to make everybody else happy instead of ourselves. And that's when we need to create boundaries. A lot of people don't even know how to even start with boundaries because they're so used to doing so much for other people. What ways that people can do to even practice and start getting themselves to that point of learning boundaries so they won't have to deal with people's issues like that?
The first step is setting boundaries for yourself
Oh,
because that's reality. Because we don't have boundaries for ourselves. We either don't go the extra mile for ourselves or we got 101 excuses. So the first steps is setting boundaries for yourself and being okay with if I don't cross off or check everything on my to-do list and being okay with that. So it starts with you, then you're able to do it because people start noticing, oh, okay, well, she said no and she means that no. But
mm,
if you're not really showing up for yourself, then you start attracting stuff and then people will start treating you differently.
yeah, they do.
So that's where it starts with yourself.
Yeah, but you know what's so crazy? Sometimes you could realize if people was really in your life to actually love you or in your life to use you when you create boundaries because people be pissed when you start telling them no, I ain't gonna do it and all that, and then they be like, oh, you acting funny and all you on this trash. You know, they be saying stuff like that. So what are some of the ways that people can like void that? I was just say get out their life, but
I would say we all have to understand that everybody is not going to be at your level and that everybody's not going to progress where you've progressed. So, people don't understand that because you were right there with them. You two were broke together. You two were struggling together. You two may have been in a bad relationship together and unhappy together. And you find yourself and you like, okay, well, I'm not going to be that person anymore, and they don't understand because they still trying to figure out their way. So they're like, "Oh, well, you're acting brand new." They're not there yet. And it's okay that they're not there yet. But you have to move on to grow and be what you have to be because the thing of it is everybody is not ready to grow. Everybody is not going to grow. And like you said, people are going to be in your life either for a season, for a lifetime, or temporarily. Because that's how the world evolves because you learn something and you learn whatever you can for that person. What did that person offer me? What will I not deal with when it comes to a new friend that this person was negative about? So those are the things that you have to start looking at and be okay with it because that's the thing. We're not okay with it. We're trying to hold on to it. Oh, I've been friends with this person since childhood.
girl,
You've grown since childhood. You are not that same six-year
no.
old, 12-year old, 18-year old anymore. And it's okay.
Yes, I actually I was telling my sister the other day. Sometimes people take that years of being around that person, they use it as like it's supposed to stay with them just because it's years invested. That comes with friendships, marriage, boyfriends, anything. Even when people hoarder they homes, like it's like that attachment that they have with it. And people really need to realize that it's okay to let it go and move forward for you to make you feel better because it's a blockage. It causes a huge blockage in their life, and then they be wondering why everything is happening and turning into shambles. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Sometimes those people in your life will block the blessings that's for you, and you will be surprised how an overflow will come once you completely remove those people from your life. It's like you holding yourself up.
Yeah. And it's also fear. It's the fear of what the next thing is going to look like, because you've been riding with Keisha for so long, and now you're over here evolving, stuff is coming in your life, and Keisha is like, well, why all this happened to you, why I ain't getting
Right.
this.
Right. That that's also like a big thing that people have. They what's the statement? No new friends. I think that's just the most stupidest thing
Yes,
ever.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just dumb
Yes.
because like your old friends aren't I mean, they time's up sometimes. You gotta move on from them because they're not going in the same path as you. So you have to have new friends where you have things in common. 9 times out of 10, sometimes those new friends treat you better than your friends did that been your friends for years.
Yes, and also, people come in your life to help you with things that you may not know. I met
Yes,
so many new people in 2020 and 2021. I haven't physically met them in person, but one is my mentor. She was on my podcast. We text every day, and she's a successful coach. I go to her with questions because she's been doing it for years. I've been coaching only for 3 years in health field or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And I listen, because if I knew it all already, I would be a billionaire. So I sit
girl.
back and I listen to her and I learn from her. I've met so many like-minded people, and it's okay that you meet new people and have new people in your life, because people show you things that you don't know, and it is something that the universe is supposed to do, is teach you
Yes.
new things and you receive it.
Yes, because a lot of times the things that your friends have going on, it may not meet the standards of things that the direction you're trying to go into
Right.
in your life. So when you are stepping outside of your comfort zone and not doing the things that you're used to doing, why not challenge yourself to work on different steps of fear? Like, okay, I'm in fear of this, so let me work on this and see if I could get out of this. Like, you could give yourself fear task. You know what I'm saying? For you to figure out things that you're afraid of, which is good for you. Fear usually bring blessings, and most people don't even know that because they're not letting it go.
And also, we have friends that we call cheerleaders, that aren't upfront and honest about stuff that we do.
Oh yeah.
And I am appreciative of the friends that I have and the new ones I met, where they'll say, what are you doing? What did
Yeah.
you do today? Get up, get out of that little state that you're in. Your pity party is over. Do what you need to
Yes.
do, because
Yeah.
I don't need a cheerleader. I need somebody that's going to push and encourage me so I can get my butt up and do what I need to do for myself and my business, my career.
Yes. Like seriously, that's the accountability, the accountability partner. And that partner doesn't have to be your boyfriend or husband or whatever. It could just be anybody that's in your life. And having that honest friend be like, "Girl, what is you doing? You looking crazy." Or,
Yeah.
"Girl, your hair look a bit, fix that." Just it's just about having somebody that's honest in your life instead of having a whole pity party of friends to go and talk about you instead of actually being that friend and actually tell you,
Right,
you
right.
know, and then keep it between y'all two. Like, look, you doing this, and that. Maybe you should do that. And then you got to understand how to take in constructive criticism as well. Because sometimes we get so emotional and we just be in our feelings and we
Yeah,
don't
yeah. Well,
hear.
I'm not talking to her anymore because she said this and she was aggressive and she was okay, no.
Like, girl, I mean, how you gonna improve when can't nobody tell you nothing?
Right, right. But
You
your
know?
boss can tell you something and you ain't got no problem doing it. But when it
Yeah,
comes for yourself, it's like I have an issue with that. No.
yeah. And then sometimes it do helps with people having a good delivery of it. You know, it's on how you speak to people and how you treat them as well. You can't come at them crazy and make them feel like they little, you know,
Right,
real
right.
small. You know, you can't do that. It's about conversation. But at the same time, like, you gotta be willing to take and hear things that you're doing wrong so you can become the better version of yourself. If you could take it from a life coach, what's the difference between taking it from somebody that's really that know you and
And
take
it's free.
yeah, and then that life coach might tell you the same thing. They just got a different strategy on how
Right,
to do
right,
it.
right, right.
You be like, hold up, dang. Somebody
Like,
did tell me that, but they won't admit it though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe it's like, oh, well, I need two or more to agree on what they said, so now I get it. So yeah.
Yes. So let's discuss about forgiveness. A lot of people struggle with forgiveness and how to move forward. And sometimes I think people get it misconstrued, like you have to forgive somebody and say, I forgive you. And people don't understand, like, you can forgive within your soul and forgive yourself and continue on with life that way peacefully as well. It's just about having that bond and connection with God to be able to manifest things for yourself. But you got to have your inner self together for you to forgive your past so you can move on to your future.
So forgiveness, like you said, for myself, I had to start with forgiving myself because there was so much embarrassment of being sexually, assaulted and molested as a child. I would get so embarrassed where, my friends would always ask me what was wrong. And I was like, nothing, nothing, because I felt like I should have been able to protect myself, which is crazy as an elementary kid. Um, so I had to forgive myself and forgive myself for disappointment, forgive myself for being angry, forgive myself for not being at the level that I felt I should have been at right here, right now, and be okay with it. So it starts with forgiving yourself, and then you're able to start forgiving other people. So, of course, first thing we do, we're mad at God because God is the creator of all things. And I was upset. God took my dad at 6.5. That's how I felt. God was allowing me to be molested. All the things that was going wrong, I blame God, God, God. So I had to forgive God. I had to forgive my dad for dying, even though it wasn't his fault. He drowned, but it was still that anger of, you're not here anymore. You can't protect me. I had to forgive my mom. I told my mom at the age of 7 that my cousin was bothering me because I didn't know the words of molestation. She told me to tell my aunt, and my voice wasn't heard. So I had to forgive her. I had to forgive my molester. I had to forgive the guy that sexually assaulted me in 2007. So anything or anybody that did something to me, I had to forgive and let go. So it wasn't that I called them and said, hey, I forgive you. It was truly, I forgive them. I wish them the best. I hope they get the help that they need, the ones that's alive, and move forward. And I had to realize that you got to trust God because God is moving you in a direction of what you need to do. So the direction is to help other people who are embarrassed, who are ashamed of being sexually assaulted, who are, their voice hasn't been heard, to get an understanding and start loving themselves. So I had to start looking at those things of forgiveness. It was a cousin of mine I went to college with. And I was so mad at her where I hadn't talked to her for years. She would send me requests on social media. I was like, I'm not accepting her requests. And it got to a point where I could feel that things weren't moving in my life because I had such a grudge. I sent her a message on social media and I said, hey, I want to apologize to you because I've been holding a grudge against you since college. She was like, I didn't know that. Of course you didn't know because that was my stuff. That had nothing to do with you. So
Right.
I want you to know that I'm sorry. And she was like, all right, cool. So those are the things that we're holding grudges and we're upset and we're mad at people. And these people don't even know, either they don't care, they moved on with their lives. It's our stuff. So I had to learn, let it go. It's okay. Does that mean that you got to be besties with them? No. That means that you are freeing yourself so you're able to receive blessings in your life. And it's also so peaceful, so stress free when you let go. You know, it's not that tightness or whatever. It's not that anger anymore. It's freedom.
Yeah. And that freedom feels really good.
It,
it,
it
it
does.
it really do, because it's like a different feeling that you would experience um because of you being molested at so young. So just imagine you lost your dad at 6.5, right?
Yes.
So you losing your dad, you have you have middle school, high school, you have all these experiences that you wanted to experience with your dad and you're not able to, and it just creates and accumulates anger. Then you have someone molesting you, and how old were you then?
So I think it started at infancy because he would always talk about how he changed my diapers. And it went on
What?
until, yeah, he would always say, "Oh, I used to change your diapers." And it went on until 10 or 11. So, dealing with that, I would not speak openly about certain things when it came to what was going on in my life to my mom, because I'm like, hey, you're not gonna listen anyway, so why would I even waste my time? And that spilled over to relationships, because if I say something to you and I'm not being heard, I'm not gonna say it anymore, because now you've taken me back to that 7-year-old girl where her mom didn't listen to
Right, when you try to tell her, but
her.
then when you're telling her at 7, it still went on until you were 10.
Yeah. And she
And
kept sending me off with him. I remember one time we were coming home and he kept trying to make me get on his back. And I was like, I don't want to get on your back. And he was like, get on my back, get on my back. And I'm on his back. And he's literally putting his fingers up my vagina in my butt, and I'm like trying to slide down and he kept pulling me up. And I realized, I was doing a podcast with somebody last week and they asked me where did my money issues come from, my relationship with money. And it hit me, oh, it came from him because he used to give me money. So
that's like the shut up mechanism. He was
exactly.
doing, let me give you these little things, shut up. Let me
Mhm.
do what I do.
Mhm.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So from it ending at 10 years old, what transpired in your life? Like what happened for it to actually end at 10 years old?
So he went to the military.
Thank God,
And
living.
he moved. So every time he would come home, it was that fear that built up. So he actually married a girl that was younger. She was the same age as my older sister, who's 5 years older. And I think him and my sister are like maybe 4 years age difference or whatever. He's 4 years older than her. And it was I would get on the bus and get off the bus, trying to get off the bus, and boys would grab my butt. And I would throw my book bag down, and I'm fighting these boys because a part of me trying to fight him.
Right.
And the bus driver was my next door neighbor, so he would come and tell my mom, like, yeah, she's getting into fights. And she's like, well, why are you fighting these boys? Because they're touching me, and I'm not taking it. So I'm going to show them I'm not that girl. So it went on. He moved to Texas and he had his first daughter, was doing the same thing to her. And my sister, my oldest niece and his daughter are the same age. And she was staying with my sister. And my sister walked in the room to check on him, and she was standing over my niece naked, trying to do stuff with her. So immediately, my sister grabbed her, put her on the couch, and told her mom. And we never saw that little girl after that.
Really? Wow. He's not with the mom or nothing no more then.
No, they were divorced when he brought her down.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, we never saw her again. Um, he was trying to talk to my best friend when I was in high school, and I was like, "Leave her alone." So I would see him out at gas stations when I would come home from college, and he would give me money, and it was just like, "Oh, okay, you owe me this." So yeah,
Right. That's girl, that's so dang disturbing. To just do that to your own baby girl. But it's just the fact of no one listening to you. I find that part so important because I've heard so many stories of women or men or just family members not listening to what their child is telling them when someone is doing things like that to them, and then they get mad at you and everything. But that goes to show also it makes you question your parent.
right.
Have that happened to you before and no one did nothing when you did it? But then you wonder, like, why didn't you protect me, because you weren't protected when it was happening to you? So the feeling that I have. So how did you even start with forgiving your mom for that? Because that's a lot.
So what you just said was one of the things, because I don't know what her upbringing and her experience was when it came to if somebody touched her, if somebody touched her sister or something like that. Um, I'm like I said, I'm from the South. So of course, boys are the favorite with
Yeah.
Southern people. And this particular nephew of hers is her favorite nephew. So he could do no wrong. What? No, he would never do that. I would believe your dad did something like that before I believe he would do it. So, one of the things was she did the best she could with the experience she had. She was a widowed mother of two girls. She worked at Dairy Queen as a cook. She made sure we had everything we needed, and I appreciate her for what she did for raising me. And I looked at some of the things that she did and I was like, okay, you have to trust your process of how you raised me, because when I got ready to go to college, she wasn't very happy about me going to college in Dallas. She wanted me to stay in Louisiana.
Wow.
She said some negative things to me, and I wrote her a letter. I was like, "Hey, you have to trust how you raised me.
Right, right,
So if you don't trust how you raised me, that's your issue. That's not mine."
right. It's probably some form of emptiness was there with her too. You think?
Well, no, because my sister lives there. My sister she had her two kids at the time. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like she was in the house by herself, because my sister comes over quite often. But it just, our relationship has gotten better. Growing up, I was a daddy's girl and I had to learn to adapt to her because
Okay.
we never had that connection, because she said when she had me, I didn't cry when the nurse had me, but when the nurse passed me to her, I started crying. So it wasn't that connection, and I think, I know I saw her as the lady that took care of me. I didn't really see her as mom for a long time.
Wow. So how are you guys' relationship now?
So we are in a good positive place. And I think that works for us. Um, it used to be I would get upset years ago when she would call me and I'm like, "Oh God, it's her." So now, I get excited to talk to her now. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I haven't talked to you." So I would definitely say we're in a better place.
That's good. That's refreshing. It shows your growth too. So when you said in 2017 you were sexually assaulted, that
2007.
seven. You were sexually assaulted. So from you repeating, basically it's like a repeat from you getting molested at a young age and then you getting sexually assaulted. How did you handle it from, like, compare from you being a child to being an adult?
When it happened, I was in a car accident and he let me use his car and I picked him up from work and I was at his apartment because he got off work like in the morning time, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was on muscle relaxers and pain pills. So I was like, I'm just gonna stay over and then you can just drop me off at home tomorrow. So I'm conscious, but I'm like sleep. I'm hearing the TV, I'm hearing, all this stuff, and I feel him pulling my pants down and I can't move.
Wow.
He's, trying to put his penis inside of me, had a condom on. I'm allergic to latex. And he's trying to put it in. He couldn't get it in because the positioning of my legs. So he gets on the floor. And I wake up the next morning and I'm like, I hope this is just a bad dream. It's just a bad dream. And it wasn't a bad dream. My vagina was swollen from the latex. One of the things that they tell you not to do after being sexually assaulted is not to shower, but it was just that feeling of I have to get it off of me. So I called a taxi, I went home, I called the cops and I was like, "Yeah, you will not take my voice. I will have you arrested." So the police came, they contacted him. He called and left a voicemail on my phone, and he said, "You're really going to ruin my life. Like, you're going to do this to me." I never responded back, went and did the whole interview. And the guy that did my interview, the detective, was his cousin. They had the same last name. So it didn't go anywhere. So I'm taking pain medicine and muscle relaxers to try to help me sleep, but I'm having nightmares because it's taking me back to my molestation and I can't wake up. A therapist called me and I was like, "I don't need help. I'm fine. I'm fine." I was at a friend's house and she's like, "You need help?" I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll be okay." And one day something happened that triggered me. I punched a hole in the wall. And at that moment, I said, "LaJune, you need help because you are spiraling out of control." I called the sexual assault counseling line. And the first therapist I got, she was new. So I went in, she's telling me, "Oh, if you say you want to kill somebody or kill yourself, I got to report it." And I was like, "Yeah, you ain't the therapist for me because, of course, you will say it and you may not mean that
Mean
you're going
it.
to kill
It's,
somebody."
you're expressing yourself.
Right. So I ended up getting a therapist that initially called me, and I learned so much about myself because I remember as a kid, it was that sensation of I always had to touch myself or I'm rubbing against something because your body is used to that sensation. You got to have that feeling. Um, just she was the one that told me to write a letter to everyone. Either I can mail it or I could, just have it for my own self for forgiveness. So that's what I kind of took into my book of writing that letter, that book of forgiveness. So I did write a letter. I mailed it to my mom. And it really wasn't about getting her to give me a response of, "Oh, I'm so sorry, please forgive me," or whatever. It was, "I just want you to know, by the way." Um, so it was, I was able to kind of deal with it and let it go. But when it came to I don't have many male doctors. I've gotten better when it comes to male doctors and stuff, but it's a male no. You will not be my doctor. Oh, physical therapy. No, I want the female. You're not touching me. So I had to get to a place of being okay. I was in a car accident last year and I went to physical therapy. And I was like, "Okay, God, this must be a test because I got all males. I had 3 male physical therapists, and
Wow.
they would touch my shoulder, and they were like, "Can you relax? Can you loosen up?" I am relaxed. No, you're not, because I can't lift your arm up. I'm like, you're right, because you're touching me. And it's that discomfort of you touching me. So after a while, I got comfortable with them. And I think about 2 or 3 times I got the female physical therapist. And I'm like, but she don't know anything about my body. I need the guys. So it has played a role in my life when it comes to doctors, when it comes to males in a professional aspect of I'm not comfortable, but that comfort level has gotten better because I had to look at the fact of my dad, my nephew, I have a nephew, of, I don't want people thinking when it comes to my nephew that, oh, he's going to hurt you or he's going to do this or he's going to do that, because he's not.
Right. So with you going through all of that, how do you do as far as dating?
So dating, I will put you in a friend zone. I'm getting better with that, but you are in the friend zone, okay? And if I am uncomfortable, I probably won't call you anymore. So most people have been in a friend zone. It was this guy I dated in high school. We were each other's first love of my life. Thought I was gonna marry him, but I broke up with him because it was like I don't know if you're gonna leave me. Not leaving as in break up, but your first love of your life is your parents. So my dad died. He was the love of my life as a small child. So I broke up with him, made him cry,
Oh,
and it was we can still be friends though. But it was like we were still in a relationship because every weekend we're hanging out, things like that, and that felt safe to me because I could control friends. I
right.
can't control a relationship. I was in a relationship. My last relationship ended 2019, and that was the longest relationship in a long time I'd ever been in. We were together for 4.5 years, and it was like somebody ripped my heart out. Um, but I said to my ex, if you're not happy, we can be friends. So it was that friend zone was still comfortable. So let me put that out there, because if you're not happy in this, we can still be friends.
Mm,
Um,
with benefits.
so well, the benefits ended, so there's no benefit.
Okay.
There, there's no the benefits. No, we are generally friends. We are
Okay.
really good friends.
Mm,
But right now, I'm not dating anybody. I'm dating myself because I learned so much about myself the last 2 years. I learned that I had commitment issues. I learned that people were being put in the friend zone. So I have to work on those things in order for me to be able to date and be in a true relationship that is a healthy relationship. Because when I was in the last relationship, I was trying to, oh, I got to make you happy. I got to make you feel good. I had to make myself happy. I
yeah.
started losing myself, and I don't ever want to do that again in any relationship.
Wow. Whew. Got me kind of speechless. No, because like it's like a lot of things people don't realize that traumatize them from their childhood, from being an adult and currently. And it's like it's I feel like it's a blessing at the same time that you recognize things that you are doing. And that is huge. Like it really is. It's just you have to act on it and be willing. So I can understand of you saying a part of taking time off for yourself and doing things for you. I did that for 3 years. I took time out to myself. I didn't date. I wasn't sexually active. I mean, I wasn't doing nothing. It was a struggle.
I'm on year 2, and I'm like, this is kind of nice. You getting to
Yeah,
know yourself, and like, oh, okay, well, I really didn't like that. So it is.
yeah.
Um, yeah, because I used to get out of relationships and get in relationships. It'll be like 2 or 3 months, and I'm on to the next, and I'm like, I don't want to do that
No,
anymore.
but after that long break, it's like you're I don't know, especially when you're manifesting it. It's like when you done got yourself all the way together, it's like you attract a reflection of you.
Yes, yeah.
And then it's like once you get in that relationship, like, oh, this ain't bad. I'm dating
Hmm.
myself, so I can handle this. It's a really good feeling, and I experienced that with my husband. Like you said, how you had that fear of death from your dad passing and everything. I had that fear as far as my dad. I mean, being his only child and me being in his life, and things like that. Our relationship wasn't the greatest when I was younger, but it's good now. But then I experienced the passing of my husband, and he
Mm,
was like my soulmate. We did
mm.
everything together. So it was like that fear that come along, like, oh my God, like how I'm gonna do this. But it's like it's still I took a lot of time out for myself with that. And it just take a lot out of you, and I don't think people really notice how much it takes so much from you. But it's
Mhm.
like you gotta love, care yourself so much to be willing to want more for yourself. It takes a lot of discipline for it, but once you get it, you got it.
Oh yeah, definitely because I didn't have discipline, and I would get in relationships, and for me it was sex because of being molested as a child. So it was like, okay, well, relationships must be about sex. So I had a couple of exes say, okay, is this all you want to do is just have sex? I was like, oh. Is that not what? Yeah. So I started to grow, and I started to learn that communication is important. Quality time is important. Going out is important. Having that romantic time, that affection that's not just about sex. It was definitely a lesson learned where now we're looking at the big things of what is your love language. That matters,
Yes.
because if you get with somebody and theirs is acts of service and gifts or whatever, and yours is quality time, and yours is physical touch or something like that, and that's not something that they do, then it's kind of like bumping heads of you're trying to make something work, and you're trying to force somebody into doing something that they don't like to do.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. So, as far as your book and everything, how can people purchase it?
So the book is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on Apple. You can also go Google and see what other places you can get it from, because it is some other locations that it's on. But some people like the Amazon method of being able to get it quickly.
That's amazing. So, do you have anything else coming up?
So right now, just working with health coach clients, working with girls in areas of softball and track and field, um, working on myself and getting myself back healthy because I was in 3 car accidents in the last 2.5 years. So I'm feeling good. So I'm, just trying to get my body back. So
No,
those are the things, and doing some book signings. So that's about it.
that's dope. So, if anybody wanted to get in contact with you, how can they get in contact with you?
So you can find me at LaJuneSingleton.com. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, LaJune Singleton. Instagram, I am LaJune Singleton.
Okay. Well, to end this, what is some encouraging words that you give someone that has been molested and sexual assaulted in the past?
I would say to get help. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Don't look at that it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever time frame it was in, it happened to you, is affecting your life in some way, with relationships, personal, physical, emotionally. Get help. Get a therapist, get a coach, get a support group, get help. Don't just hold it in, because trust me, it is not worth it. It affects your health, and it affected my health for many years where I was sick. So get help.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, LaJune. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to answer somebody's question. They asked, I'm sorry, what a mindset strategist was. So, a mindset strategist is someone that works with individuals with understanding the mind, their mind, and making decisions in regards to positive thinking and things like that. So, that's what a mindset strategist does.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.